training for fucking 6 hours a day. I'm taking 4 pre-workouts a day. Is that sensible?
But that, no, I'm sorry.
Then who am I? Yeah, but then who am I?
That is ridiculous to somebody with
They would just presume that Hispanic gang on the side of the road. The side of the road saying, "Hey, get the fuck off the road, man! What the fuck are you doing?" Like, I've had my Tupperware meal in the back of a hearse before. My mother was not happy. I walked out behind and I was crying my eyes out, and I was looking back because I couldn't look at the audience. But getting back to
offending people,
and he goes, 100% of people that have your attitude fail this test.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Clwb podcast. We're joined by a very, very special guest today. You might recognise him from the guy that pops his pecs outside of American convenience stores. You might recognise him from being Ultraflex Rotherham's biggest cheat curler. Or you may recognise him for being an outstanding natural bodybuilder who's competed worldwide and an outstanding coach. That is none other than Mr. Jack Thorburn. Welcome, Jack, to the show.
Pleasure, thank you for having me.
This honestly feels like a long time coming. We've spoken about you on about 5 different episodes. Yeah, done a clip for you, everything. So it's nice to actually speak to you and have you in person, have you in our possession on the podcast. But the first thing I want to talk to you about, I mentioned it there, that whole pop your pecs time, the American experience. Obviously, that was a massive experience for you in the worlds. So how did that go? Because that looked like a crazy journey filled with IHOP after IHOP.
that was mad actually.
It was, well, it all seems a bit of a dream now, to be honest. Because I remember I woke up on a Monday after we came back in Barnsley, and I thought, did that really just happen? I think it was a very long year for me. So to finish off with such a bang in LA of all places was huge, you know. Not only because it is the biggest bodybuilding stage in the world. WNBF Worlds is the biggest show. I think there was about 400 competitors at the show. So it was absolutely mad, you know, for a natural bodybuilding show. That's huge. But then also to be able to finish it with a little bit of a holiday afterwards, because we made sure we booked it that we had 4 days that were work prior to the show, but then we had 6 days after where we could sort of live the American dream, you know, which, like you said, all the food, and we were, you know, living the bodybuilding dream down in Gold's Gym, Venice and stuff. So yeah, that was incredible.
What's it like in Gold's? Is it just...
Do you know what? It's an amazing gym, but I think it's an amazing gym because of like the nostalgia.
So without
of
the
what
reputation,
it is. So without the reputation, I don't know. To be fair, they've still got incredible kit. But you know, Rotherham is a better gym. Rotherham is a better gym. But it's the fact that it's Gold's Gym, you know.
But it's not even the OG Gold's Gym anyway, because they moved it after Arnold's time anyway. Yeah. So
what's quite cool about it, though, to be fair, half the gym is outside.
Oh, that's nice. I've seen the outside there, and it just feels like
and we went in mid-November, and it was still 25 degrees. You'd still catch a tan.
Probably too much in July, August anyway.
But you know, so you could train outside, and it's not as if they put all the rubbish kit outside like some gyms do. There was still premium kit out there. So there was still loads of people training out there. The only thing I was a little bit disappointed with in Gold's was the fact that when we were there were no pros there. I know, to be fair, a lot of pros have actually moved, so it's not the sort of pro haven like it used to be. But there are still people like Brian Ansley still trains there now and again.
My hero, Michael Hearn.
Trent O'Hearn still trains there. But we missed all of them. Luckily, I trained there for 3 days. I managed to, you know, I pride myself on being a bit of a, well, getting my money's worth, let's put it that way. So it's $50 for a single. Per day.
A day pass.
$50 for
day pass is 50. Jeez. But the loophole is, it's a 24-hour day pass. Okay, so what you do is you go in maybe say at 10 o'clock one day, and it's a 24-hour day pass. So as long as you make sure you get in before 10 o'clock the next day,
right,
you can train again.
So you can train.
So what I did was I went in at 10 a.m. on the Wednesday, came back the Thursday at 9:30. So I got in for 2 days. I came in with a group of boys on the second day that didn't train on the first day. So they had to pay on that day. All the all the workers saw them paying the group that I was with on the second day. So then when we came back on the third day, I came in with the same group of boys and said, "Oh, I've lost my receipt." And they said, "Oh yeah, we saw you come in with that group of boys yesterday, and they all paid." I said, "Yeah, I was with them. I just forgot my receipt today." So they let me in again. So I got three sessions for the 50.
It's still $25 a day if you do it that way. If you do, that's still quite a lot.
That's still an expensive gym pass.
It is, but also now Rotherham's £13 a day. £13. So
that's not too bad though, because like Everlast Fitness is £10.
It's all techno gym.
It's that crap stuff. I mean, you're thinking like it's literally £3 more to go to a gym which has hundreds of thousands of pounds with more equipment, more higher quality equipment, and better environment. Yet you pay. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And obviously the thing is about Gold's is it's iconic, and you seem to be living like the LA influencer lifestyle when you're out there.
Well, when I was there, I tried to get as much, because I knew, it is a once in a lifetime sort of trip. So I tried to make sure I captured as much as I could, even if it was excessive. Luckily we had a really good videographer out at the time, so shout out to Azza Visuals for that. Like, at times I felt bad because I was pestering him, but nowhere near as much as the other lads who we went out with, James Alabaster. I don't know if you'll see this. So, but every opportunity. So I remember we'd be walking down a boulevard or a street, I'd see like a really cool sort of shot,
top off pecs,
and I'd be like, "Aaron, get a shot," and he'd be like, "You can't do it here."
I was just creased at that video.
Yeah, well, there's the video, but then there's also on show day, I was walking through San Pedro, which is like this typical like LA old school town, real Hispanic sort of influence. And there was a shot where you could see the hills in the background. It was show day of all days, and I thought, right, I got to get a shot here. So I said, "Aaron, run down there." And obviously jaywalking in America is illegal. You can't just walk across the street. You got to wait till the lights are on and everything. But I said, "I'm not missing this shot." So I told Aaron, "Stand in the middle of the road with your camera. When there's nothing coming, I'll run in the middle of the road, top off, and I'll hit a few shots."
Yeah, you practically go naked.
As I did it, there's a Hispanic gang on the side of the road. On the side of the road saying, "Hey, get the fuck off the road, man! What the fuck are you doing?" Like proper shouting, and they were all next to like this old school American sort of low rider, and I thought, "Oh,
I'm gonna get shot at."
But I was like, "I'll just do it for the gram." So I hit a few, and then we ran off. But
they clearly don't know you from Swansea.
See, I'm the opposite to you, right? If I was out there, Matthew, but I was going to photo them, like, no, we can do one later.
Yeah.
But that was the highlight. The way I was looking at it, I was like, "Oh, I wish I was there," because the photos of you that's
the thing. I've learnt too many times that, which is why I have 36,000 pictures on my phone, because I've learnt you need to get a picture of everything, because you can keep that forever. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm guilty of maybe not actually living in the moment because I'm too concerned of
I'm like that.
Like for example, you see people at concerts and they're almost watching the concert through the video. Yeah. So it's kind of like
they're literally.
It's kind of like there's the trade-off that yes, you've got that video to keep forever, but then you didn't enjoy that moment there. So it's kind of like what do you want to do? But I certainly got a lot of sort of content and memories built out there. But at the same time, I did make sure I sort of lived in the moment when I was out there as well. But
I remember looking at your stories every day, and it was just IHOP after IHOP every single day. I was thinking your halftime must be insane.
What was the calorie count like on them? I can't remember what you said now.
Do you know what was amazing out there was so the first IHOP we went to, I thought, do you know what, I'm going to be a little bit more health conscious, or at least be a bodybuilder and make sure I get my protein in. Instead of just ordering 3 lots of pancakes, I thought I'll be good and I'll get what was it at the time? I ordered one of their omelettes, thinking I'll get it was like a steak omelette with some other peppers and cheese and whatever. Turns out that was 90 grams of fat in it.
Oh, nice.
And it was double the calories of their sort of pancake stack. So I could have got 2 lots of pancakes for the same calories as the healthier sort of omelette, and I thought.
But this wasn't like a gourmet place, right? It was just like a IHOP isn't like fancy.
It's just a chain. It's just a chain.
Just a little
American
diner.
yeah. But to be fair, even though it is that, it's a lot higher quality than if you had
the one-off diner sort of. Yeah.
But no, I spent about $160 in IHOP, so.
That seems like it's worth it, to be honest.
Oh, it was. I loved it.
Yeah. So what was like the WMBF? It's the WMBF out there. What was that experience like? Because I remember watching your story on the comp. Was it the BNBF you did before that?
Yeah. So there's at the moment in the UK there's three natural bodybuilding federations, which are causing a bit of sort of not confusion, but there is a little bit of confliction between the two. The BNBF and the UK DFBA have always been the sort of two bigger ones over here. They live quite nicely in combination. There's no sort of issues with them, but there's definitely a bit of confliction between the WNBF, which split off from UK DFBA 2 years ago. So now there's a little bit of issues with those two. But you know, in terms of like the opportunity to go with the WNBF was the bigger opportunity this year, which, you know, because I did also qualify this year for the World Championships within the DFAC, which is associated with BNBF. There's too many, like,
I'm confused.
There's too many letters being
There's
thrown.
so much W, so much B's.
So, but it's hard for me now to gauge like which one's like the best. Is it the WNBF or is it the Olympia Amateur?
There's no real best, because ultimately I did all three federations this year. So, you know, how can there be a best when as a competitor I've done them all? You know, so, you know, you're free to really do any show you want. The only time that you're ever limited, well, it used to be the only time you were ever limited was if you were a pro within one of those federations. Like, you can't be a pro in one and then think you're doing another federation.
So it's quite strict.
But now they seem to be letting people do both. So I'm not too sure. But in terms of the WNBF, they've started a UK version, because before it was just an American thing. Well, yeah, it was. Now last year they held it, and then this year it's got even bigger again. So this year it was quite a big event this year, and I was fortunate enough to win my class at the show this year, which then qualified me to go to the Worlds.
So walk me through that then. What was that experience like? So you've won your class. This is on your YouTube channel as well, I think. Is it the show was?
That was the BNBF, the one that was on my YouTube.
Right. Yeah. So walk me through then. So you've received this envelope saying that you've been invited to the Worlds. What was that like for you? Because I remember it seems to like your prep was like
never ended.
It feels like you've been on prep since the start of the year, really. Because I remember like you put a photo up on Instagram the other day where you were like week 16 of the cut, and then you were like, I still have 29 weeks left of this. So it feels as if this went on forever for you. So what was that moment like when they handed you that envelope and then you knew you were invited to the Worlds?
I don't know if you'd be able to edit this into the video, but someone filmed when I won my class, or when they announced who came second in the class. I've got a video of my response, and like I've had a pretty rough year with it. So to get where I did and to get that reward through everything I have, like I broke down. Like, I'm stood in the lineup. They called. There's a few in the line, but I knew it was me and this other gentleman who were in the running for top two, because we were centre stage the whole time. So the second they called his name, I knew I'd won, and I made sure I shook his hand. And I walked out the back of the stage behind they had like a WNBF sign. I walked out behind, and I was crying my eyes out, and I was looking back because I couldn't look at the audience. I was looking at the back, crying my eyes out, and I was talking to myself, saying like, no one else will do what I'm doing here. Like, no one would have carried on here, because ultimately I don't believe many would have continued. Like, don't get me wrong, I think I've put myself in a lot of the issues that I have psychologically through like pressure, etc. But I remember just turning around literally at the back of the stage whilst they're presenting second place, and I'm just looking at the back, crying my eyes out, thinking, oh wait there, you got to compose yourself here. But as I turn around and go to the front, you can still see I'm like crying. And then I can remember just getting rewarded, and I had the biggest, like, I don't smile really, like I don't smile often. I don't know why. I find it really awkward, and also I don't think I have a good smile. My teeth never come out anyway. I don't know whether that's...
No, I'm exactly the same.
My teeth never come out, but I can remember just like beaming when I won that. I was so happy. I was the last person out of the venue, like, because...
Did you forget your trophy?
You're just trying to soak it all.
Don't even start with that. You know that. You do know this story.
I don't know the story.
He was so pissed off he left his trophy there, didn't he?
Yeah. So at one of the shows this year, I came third. Don't get me wrong, I believe I could have placed better, but that wasn't the issue. So I placed third in a very good lineup. I felt I looked amazing, so I was really happy with my showing.
Yeah.
And I was the last one. I was actually the last one in the changing rooms again. But I was rushing around, once again, taking too many pictures. I was taking pictures with these a couple of gentlemen that had come over from Austria, and I knew them from social media, so I was just taking pictures with them. And I left my trophy in the changing room, completely forgot about it. I had to rush off because this was late now, and we were getting home late. Next thing, I wake up on the next morning on social media to see someone put up on their story, someone's forgotten a trophy at the venue. If you know who it is, please let me know. So I messaged this guy straight away saying, oh yeah, it's me, I've left it. Can we please sort out getting it? Next thing, someone has taken it upon themselves to see this story and thought, oh, it must be a negative thing. So this gentleman's put on his story saying, absolutely disgusting behaviour that someone's, basically thrown their toys out the pram about their placing and decided just to throw...
That is ridiculous to somebody would
they would just presume that, yeah. And not only presume that, but then voice it on their story.
If you were walking around all like arrogant and annoyed and pissed off, and somebody be like, oh, actually, I saw Jack behaving like that earlier, he's probably just not wanting to take it. But if you're there making time to talk to people who know you, and you're chuffed about everything, there's no reason for them to think that.
I even voiced it on my story that evening when I was at the show before leaving, saying how happy I was, even though I got third. I said I got third, but I'm over the moon with how I looked, etc. So I thought, wow. And anyway, in the end, I got a lot of kickback for it. There were a lot of negatives to come out of it. And I even had to put like a public announcement.
Saying that you didn't throw your toys
I didn't throw my toys at the pram. But people still didn't believe me. But I think the problem is people know I'm very passionate.
Oh, yeah.
So they probably thought maybe you did have a bit of a strop.
Yeah, potentially. But
so why is that then? Why do you think there's so much passion there? I mean, where does it even come from?
I wanted to dive into this.
Well, why am I so passionate about things?
Like, why are you so... Because you say you cry in the gym, and I know that's to generate good sets and stuff like that, but what is it about, like, because obviously emotionally, you're so in this, you're not like half time in this. It's a big question.
I've been like that with everything I've always done.
Yeah.
Everything. I remember rugby used to be my absolute life, and I was exactly the same in rugby. I remember it's probably just the way I've been brought up, No, thinking about it definitely is. But I remember, like, I went away to boarding school to play rugby to Clwb.
Yeah.
And obviously that's a massive rugby school. And we'd be in the changing rooms before the game, and everyone would have we'd be in a huddle and we'd be playing. We had this song. It was quite soft. It wasn't even like hard. Like, it wasn't like a rock song or anything. And we'd all be like bawling our eyes out now because but it would be through near like rage as well. Like, it wouldn't be like crying upset. It would be just because you're so emotional that you're playing as a team, like, because we were like brothers. We lived with each other because it was a boarding school.
Yeah. So
it's like kind of like a passion there. But I definitely feel like it comes from like my old man is so passionate about, like, he cries. I watch him cry at movies and stuff. Like the Welsh national anthem, he bawls his eyes out to this day, every day, like every time.
Yeah.
And I think potentially that's where it's come from. And people might be like, oh, what a softie. I can tell you now, my old man would take anyone's head off. anyone's.
But it's not but it's a self-awareness as well. When men think they can't cry, it's probably because they're weaker inside, because they think that it shows weakness, but it just shows self-awareness and emotion and passion. That's what we're talking about, you know. And that's what's so interesting about it, is that you can get upset. I mean, I get upset sometimes, especially with related to training. I get some sort of like upset in the gym sometimes.
We've all
before and after, especially before heavy squats. there's so many emotions going, because I know the stakes are high, and I'm just like, I know how much physical pain this is going to put me under, and I'm gonna do it, but I know how much it's gonna hurt, and that gets me really emotional, because I know my body knows what it's about to experience. But like, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, the people who just go, I'll just jump into the bar and do a squat. I mean,
it's not the same. People do that is probably because it doesn't mean anything to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the reason why people get emotional about things is because it means something to them. You know,
because of the pressure, because the stakes are high. Then
but even if they love something so much, it might not even be because of the pressure, or because it might be because they're so passionate about something. That's why it brings that emotion to them. Whereas people that don't have that same emotion, the people that laughed about that hack squat video, for example, yes, it was a little bit excessive, but I think a lot of the people that did, they have no passion for it at all.
No,
and they'd walk away from training any day of the week. Like, for me, it's my entire life, basically.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's without being too extreme, it's nearly all I think about. And it was the same with rugby. When I used to get so passionate about that, it's because it's literally all I used to think about.
But that's a common trait of successful people, I think. If you look at, like, say, for example, you've got like Conor McGregor, like he used to just eat, sleep and breathe fighting. And it's obvious that you eat, sleep and breathe bodybuilding. The amount of pressure I think you probably create on yourself relates to how much you love bodybuilding. And do you think that's a factor in why like you find it sometimes difficult to train?
Yeah, definitely. Like, the reason why I've struggled a lot this year was because I induced performance anxiety on myself, and it just got like further and further out of hand, like, and it just stemmed into other things then. But it purely started from like, I've had physical, they're not injuries, but like, I've struggled with a few things in terms of training for years.
I remember you said that when you were younger, as an osteopath told you had a tight hip, and then you were like, I'm not going to listen to him.
He quoted me £100 for initial consultation, and at the time I was a tight student, and I said, you got to be joking. I said, I'm not going to go and see him. But he told me, you probably got a tight hip flexor or around that. And then it turned out, I think it was 6 years down the line then, I found out that was, I actually went to someone because I had a load of issues on the go.
Was that the start of it then? Like that, osteopath?
Yeah.
What did they just tell you the same thing? You got a tight hip flexor.
Yeah, but then he told me how to sort it and stuff. But if I'd gone to that bloke...
So really, if you sorted it at the start, then you could have been...
Yeah, but now I'm spending thousands and thousands sorting it, but because I was tight at the time and didn't want to spend the £100 on the initial consultation, it came back to bite me.
Is that an ego thing as well, or thinking that you have the tools yourself to sort everything and you don't need external help? Because you seem like a very... not lonely, but a very solo bodybuilder.
No, there's definitely an element of that, especially in terms of like, I freely talk about it now, but like the psychological side of it, I'm still yet to outsource someone to help in terms of like...
Yeah, because you coach
self-coach
yourself.
Yeah, but that's within bodybuilding, but I mean, even in terms of like a psychologist or someone like that, I'm still yet to source someone, even though I've admitted to being, struggling in terms of like anxiety, etc. for, quite a long time. But I'm very stubborn in the fact that I kind of almost want to do it myself, but that's quite naive of me to think that there aren't better people to do it.
I want to talk specifically about your training, and I also kind of why, I know you've answered this a little bit, but why you spend ridiculous amounts of time in the gym, and just, I mean, there's only so much you're going to be comfortable with sharing, but what it's like, why you do it, what the thought processes are, when you're in the gym for, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, I'm talking 6 to 8 hours.
Full day's work.
No, I'm not talking 3 hours.
A PB is 7 was my PB. If you can call it a PB, because you're meant to be proud of PBs, aren't you?
Yeah.
I wasn't proud of that, but yeah, I think 7 hours.
Because you must be seeing people coming in, this guy came in after me and he's gone 5 hours.
Neil Curry, IFBB Pro, Classic Physique Olympian. Neil Curry.
Like last year.
Neil Curry does his AM session, because Neil trains twice a day. Neil does his AM session, and I'll catch him whilst he's finishing off his AM session. And he'll come in, and I'll see him start his PM session. So whilst Neil's doing his 2 sessions, I'm in there the same time.
So what's it like then? Because I have not seen, I don't know all the bodybuilders, but I don't see anyone else training that long.
Yeah, no, like I'm not going to come on here and say that I would choose to do it. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do.
So you have to do it, is it?
Basically, because I kind of need to give backstory to this as well. So
yeah, it's a big question.
Which is what we were kind of it's brought me back to what we were talking about before. So the tight hips, I'll give you a really quick rundown of this.
Okay.
Really quick, because it's really complicated. Human body's very complicated, as you know. Tight hip flexor. Because this is tight, it's pulled me down slightly. It's pulled me in.
To one side, like a
to
crunch.
one side, yeah. So because it's pulled me in, I need to give you a visual of this as well, so you can see.
I'll let you move over the way.
That's made all of these muscles, because they're pulled in here, they are in like a permanent contraction, almost like a permanent contraction. Okay, so because they're in a permanent contraction, not fully but slightly shortened, they've become weak over time because they're permanently contracted. Okay, so they've become weak. These are all stabilizing muscles. Okay, so stabilizing muscles at the hip. It's also stabilizing muscles for the shoulder and scapula here. So you've got like your serratus, and then down here, what are we talking about? Like QL and stuff like that. Okay, so my hip, because of this, my hip stability and my shoulder stability are awful. Put your hand on my scapula at the back. Yeah.
Oh,
feel that?
Yeah, I can
So
feel
just
it pop
out all the time.
in and out.
Yeah, so I've got something called snapping hip syndrome. Listen. Shh.
Oh, yeah, can you hear that? Like,
Yeah.
click.
A lot of dancers. I'm not a dancer. A lot of dancers.
Well, that's up for debate. I mean, I've seen you pull a couple
Well, I
of
can
dances.
pop them pics.
Yeah, and you can do some stuff there.
Yeah, so I've got snapping hip syndrome. Hence, some people might have seen me dancing around like a donkey on my video,
like the
popping my
donkey
hip. Yeah, so that's basically I get tightness in my hip flexor, and that's when you pop it, like pops it. But it's just to relieve it. Sort of the tendons don't glide over properly, so by popping it kind of puts them back in place. It's not like a dislocation or anything, and it's the same with the scapula, so I can pop that. Yeah, so it's basically my shoulder stability and my hip stability are awful. So if you try and train with that, it's hard work. So you can see my shoulders in protraction permanently. It's not retracted. Okay, so if I'm doing a dumbbell press, it doesn't feel great on your chest when you're pressing and your shoulders basically out in protraction. It's in protraction the whole time. So I can't. So my quality of work, if my shoulder's not in, isn't great. So I've always trained more and trained for longer because it allows me to kind of get more effective reps as they are. Because I'll always try and hit failure, but for example, this year I couldn't tell you the amount of times I've done more than 3 reps in succession. Yeah. Honestly,
consecutive reps.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you if I've ever done more than 3 reps consecutively without having to readjust and pop my hip or pop my shoulder. And then the real clusterfuck, sorry, I'm swearing again, is the fact that now, because of this is where it all comes in. So this year, I've managed to train around these for ages and develop quite a good physique from it. Not an issue. The physical side is not an issue. And I was actually rehabbing it really well. Shout out to Aaron Casely, Mofo Body Mechanic.
No, I've seen him.
He's helped me massively. And I was on top of it. He's put loads of work into me, and I was rehabbing them really well, and they were actually, dare I say it, on the mend, and I was, they weren't going to be as much of an issue. But this year, coming into prep, all of a sudden with my training, I'd go into the gym every day and I'd say, right, well, it's game time now. you're competing against this bloke, you're competing against that bloke. You can't afford to have a bad day. You're going on stage now. Yeah. Whereas before, I had a 5-year off season. Before, it was just going in the gym to train. Like, I didn't have this deadline. I didn't have this person I was competing against.
So did you train for as long as you did? You do now then, or did you just say
a bit less?
I can go
a bit less. I would still train quite a lot, but I didn't have the pressure on me. And then all of a sudden, the sort of anxiety kicked in a bit, and all of my issues are to do with the sort of core and the bracing side. Because when I'm braced, these stabilizing muscles are on. Okay.
Yeah, I hear you say that quite a lot.
Good job trying to brace when you're having a panic attack or you're anxious. You can't. When you're really anxious,
so is this why you spend so much time on Instagram talking about having your head in the game, and that's the main way that you're going to be able to get a good session is if you're
to a degree, because when you're anxious, your ability to sort of feel your midsection and control your midsection, it goes out the window. So like if you probably won't remember it at the time because you all you're focusing on is the fact that you're anxious. But if you're anxious, you really struggle with the whole like being able to brace and stuff.
I train as a powerlifter, and my coach says the single most impactful thing on performance is stress.
Yeah.
So when you're stressed, not only the chemical thing, but your head isn't there, you're not going to be able to lift the same weight with the same technique and the same performance.
Yeah. So if all of my issues physically, before we even go into the mental, are surrounded by my ability to brace and stabilize, that's where all my issues are. And then when you combine the fact that now I've developed this anxiety, which makes that even worse. So now it's made a bad situation even worse again, which is why this year I've really struggled. But which is why not only do I need to continue to work on the sort of prehab stuff, I really need to work on the mental side, because what makes it really hard is I know what I need to do physically to rehab it, but when my head's not there or I'm anxious,
it doesn't matter.
I can't do those rehabilitation exercises. I can't even do them.
You can't focus.
Is that what makes you anxious though? Your physical problems?
Yes, that's what did. Okay, this is where it gets really sort of a bit crazy, like a bit. What's he talking about? So it did. I used to be anxious about whether I can perform because of my physical issues, but then it got so out of control, and one day I used to go into the gym and all of a sudden not be able to feel anything. And I couldn't for the life of me realise, why can't I feel this contracting? Why can't I feel this? And then one day I realised, because I get like a feeling.
Oh, the head.
Where everything in my life is, I live everything. This is going to sound really weird.
It's like an intuition.
I live everything in my life through this one point in my head. So I don't hear, music doesn't come through here. The bass is just there. Boom, 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 boom. When people are talking to me there, I can't taste because all I'm thinking about is this spot here. Like, I can't feel any like contractions or anything because all I'm thinking about is this spot in my head. The second that goes and I'm not thinking about that spot, all of a sudden I can feel anything. So the day
interesting.
Yeah, and then but the problem is I was training and I didn't know what the issue was, so it would just come and go. But then one day I realised, oh wait, when that goes, I can feel it. And the second I realised the correlation between the two, it was potentially the worst thing that could have happened.
Because now you're thinking about
that,
when it's
now
off.
I'm anxious about being anxious. Because I know the consequence of I know that when that comes on, I can't feel anything. So I'm now, the problem is now I worry about what worrying does to my performance.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like the right sport to be in for somebody who's really anxious, because I can imagine, I've got quite a lot of anxiety. I can imagine prepping for a bodybuilding show and then stepping on stage would be one of the most anxiety-inducing things.
Yeah, but the problem is I'm not an anxious person. Never have been.
So it's not in
I'm
your
the
character.
most carefree person going. Don't get anxious about anything. I don't know why this year it suddenly crept in. Because I never used to performing. I've played in the Millennium Stadium twice.
Have you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I played in the Millennium twice. I didn't have a single bit of nerves before that. The problem is I'm very self-assured. I know what I'm worth. I know what I'm capable of. I think the problem with bodybuilding is because of these niggles, I'm not able to perform or display myself how I know I'm capable, how I know I can. So it's like because they're holding me back. So I think that's where the anxiety comes in, because I'm not able to do what I know I'm capable of. Whereas when I was playing rugby, well, when I was carefree before, because this started to creep in towards the end of me playing, and that's why I stopped ultimately, but I didn't know it at the time. When I was playing rugby, there was nothing holding me back. I was so confident, almost too confident. I was so arrogant, so arrogant. But you know, at the time, it was backed up, really. And I think that is where the anxiety comes in now, that I'm not able to do what I know I can do.
So are you worried that you might not be able to fix this, and that might affect you in the future then?
Yeah, I think my old man influences me more than I sort of think, because that bloke should have played for Wales. Incredible rugby player, like amazing. My uncle played for Wales, and he's lived in his shadow his whole life. My dad's known as Paul's brother to people, and that fucking eats him up. Because can you imagine being a better rugby player than your brother, yet your brother's the one that's then gone on to play for Wales, and you're known as his brother. Even though you were the better player.
You'd want to be known as you.
But that's the problem.
But it's like you're not getting the credit, and you haven't actually...
Well, he's ultimately a nobody, even though
he shouldn't be a nobody.
He was the better player, you know? So, and I see that frustration in him nearly every day. I can just tell it, and it literally is in him every day. So I've seen that, and I think that's been with me the whole time. So the fear of failure, and potentially the fear of like living your life thinking,
regretting things,
I could have been this, that eats me up. And I think that's potentially where a lot of the pressure comes from as well. Thinking, oh, I could have done this, but I didn't because of this. You know, so I think that is a big element of it as well. And potentially that's why, you know, I do things to the extreme, because I never want to know the what ifs. You know, I think that might, you know, so thanks, Dad.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people see you as a very extreme person. Yeah. Obviously, your passion for bodybuilding is very evident in your actions. In the gym daily, you know, I've seen stories of you nearly having fights in Ultraflex Rotherham over adductors and beefing with someone over that. And your passion is so evident through bodybuilding. And you can tell that you're a very passionate person. I don't think a lot of people understand what that's like.
Yeah, I think, especially in social media, it comes across. I don't think it comes across as passion sometimes. I think it either comes across as arrogance sometimes, and even to some people it might come across as like a bit psychopathic and a bit strange, you know. But I'm to the ones that matter, and the ones that have, you know, a bit of a passion within themselves, I think they understand. Yeah, I think to the people that lack passion, lack ambition, I think they can see it as the sort of arrogance or the almost like psychopathic side. But
yeah, so is that why you moved to Ultraflex then? Because obviously, you know, a lot of people know you as a guy from Swansea. And you know, you've got that Swansea accent, you can tell, you know, you're quite a well-known guy. So is that why you moved to Ultraflex then, to sort of put yourself in that position? Because I remember, you know, you were travelling up there like nearly daily, weren't you? You were
That's fucked. I remember you telling me about that.
We had a chat in the car after we went back from Rotherham. We were talking about like, would we come up here like bi-weekly or something? And I was telling Alex, I was like, Jack was literally travelling up here for a session, driving home, then his car would break down, and then he'd have to get home, sleep, and still get up for cardio. So, you know, a lot of people wouldn't really do what you've done.
Yeah, I think so going back to the first question, the plan was always to move up, because, you know, ultimately it's easily the best gym in the UK.
I agree.
It would rival most gyms across the world, and it's only getting better. Not only that, but in terms of like the environment there, you know, you've got multiple IFBB pros. You know, the owner, Clwb, he's been great for, you know, to me this year. He's been very understanding and stuff, even though he has sat me down and had my pants down a few times about damaging kit, etc. But it's a different topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in terms of environment, you know, it's massive. Also, it's the reason why the move from Swansea up there is also like, you know, within me coaching and bodybuilding, you know, I want to attend shows. I want to be, you know, attending expos. I want to be able to see, you know, obviously I'm sponsored by Insight Supplements, little plug, Jack 10. I want to go and see the boys there and stuff. And it being in South Wales in Swansea, it would take me hour and a half just to get out of Wales.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a long trip.
Everywhere would be a trek. Everywhere I went would be a trek.
What was Rob? I don't know, about 4.5
4.5. 5.
I think it's 4.5.
Because we want to go there as well. Like again, because there's a lot of people there we want to speak to.
I wouldn't want to move there though.
No,
but then you have to be 100% all in.
That's the problem. See, I live in the Gower in Swansea. So
nice place.
Not just Swansea, the Gower. Okay, so
you moved from a nice.
I moved from the best coastline. It's two of its beaches are in like the top 8. It is
beautiful
in Europe.
It is beautiful.
Llangennith and, you know, amazing beaches, and I've moved from there to Barnsley / Rotherham, which, you know, is an absolute dive. There's no coastline. You know, if you're from that area, I apologise, but you probably think the same, to be honest, because they're under no illusion. You know, so the goal always was, because it's all in for bodybuilding, really. So that, and also in terms of for business, for me, it is better being the whole online coach thing. It does allow me to see more people up there, interact with people, you know, networking.
So it's a general thing that bodybuilders are understanding that the hub of bodybuilding in the UK now is moving up towards surrounding there, because it's not.
It's all there.
I would have thought it would have been London and surrounding south.
Yeah. It's just too expensive there, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I remember I saw Josh Bridgman put a story up the other day saying he spends nearly $3,000 a month just on rent, and he doesn't even live central. I think it's like Greenwich or something. Yeah, which is ridiculous.
And also just like life in London, that's not for me at all. You know, even like Birmingham, I hate the whole like traffic. You know, taking forever to go. You know, a couple of miles. It's too busy, stuff like that.
You'd rather win the Llangennith Open every year. I remember that story. That was probably
that's one real issue I had this year. I was in the shape of my life,
and you went to the beach,
and I couldn't go down the beach. You know, but saying that, in 2017, at the time I was in the shape of my life, I didn't go down the beach once when I was prepping, because I think the problem is once I'm in that zone, even that minor distraction of going down the beach, you know, I'd have to take a meal with me. Like, I'd probably be tired from training, so I can't be bothered. I'm literally 2 minutes from the beach, but it's just in 2017 I didn't go down once when I was prepping, even though I was in top shape.
Was that did that add extra pressure then, or did you not care? Because I'm thinking you're in one of the most beautiful places in Wales. Did you ever think, you know, during the summer when you were like in prep, did you think, oh, maybe I'll go for a walk, it's nice? You get like FOMO of any other life, or were you just in this bubble? You couldn't give a shit what was going on?
No, that's the thing. When I'm bodybuilding, literally go in a bubble and I'll just think about bodybuilding, you know? So even this year now, if I had been back in Swansea, I think, would I have even gone down the beach? Which is such a stark contrast to when I was, say, 17, 18 years old. I remember when I was 18 years old, I'd go down the beach every day, and I would, this is going to sound so arrogant, I would let everyone know I was down the beach. So there's have you ever been down Langland Bay?
Yeah, I know the one.
So there's a well-renowned promenade across Langland Bay where the whole beach can see you, okay? And it's raised up, and I would do laps, multiple laps a day along Langland Bay, close to the edge, just to let, like, oh, look at the shape on this one. Yeah. You know? But, you know, this 2017, never had the intention of going down. This year, even if I was back, I don't think I'd have had the intentions to go down. Just because absolutely zoned in terms of bodybuilding. Potentially that adds to the pressure and doesn't allow me to get out of my own head, because potentially I'm just bodybuilding.
Is that a problem though? Do you feel like...
That's what I'm getting at. Potentially that is the problem. This year, I started... Obviously, you've done the podcast with George. I started the year...
Living together
with George up until about June or July. July. And, you know, we haven't had a falling out. It's nothing like that at all. It's just he's got a new girlfriend and they get on really well together. And they're really good together.
They are great.
So,
yeah, we've met them.
And you know, I'm under no illusions. We're in a pretty shit house in Barnsley. She's got a rather nice house in Stoke. So he's done the sort of right thing for him, and he's now living with her.
No, training with Eddie Hall every day.
Well, and you know, that's left me. I'll get the violins out, but that's left me
alone,
living alone
in a shithole in Barnsley,
in a bit of a dump. And you know, to be honest, I go to the gym. Yes, I'm there for a long time, but I don't interact with that many people there. So my interaction with people has near enough been zero. Obviously, I'm very fortunate in the fact that I have a really good interaction on social media. I'm always talking to people on social media, but you know, it's basically weeks and weeks, months and months that I don't speak to.
Because you train on your own.
Good luck bringing a training partner in to train for 6 hours.
Yeah, because
I'd be getting multiple training partners, wouldn't I?
Because I was thinking, I was like, oh, Matt, why don't we see if we can do a session with Jack? And then he was like, well, firstly, it'll be a 10-hour video. And I don't know, I just feel like, would that work, or would it just be a boring video?
Do you know what, though? Sometimes... I've always had the fear of training with people, but I've done it multiple times. I've done it with George, and
I've seen videos of you online of you training with people.
It forces me to quit the shit, and it puts a bit of pressure on. But every time I've done it, there have been blips in there, but I've got the job done, and I've trained the same time as them.
Does it speed up your session if somebody else is saying, Jack, sort it out now?
Yeah. Massively, but the problem is now I don't know if it would, because of the whole head thing.
So you're trying to explain to them that you've got this point in your head, and then it's winding them up, it's winding you up because they don't get it.
Yeah. I remember a YouTube video you did with AJ.
Oh yeah.
This is a very, very entertaining video, because I remember
this was comical.
You snuck off.
Ran off to do dumbbell
reps on the dumbbell.
The story behind that is,
I was thinking of that, and I was thinking, who was that you was training with?
Yeah, it was AJ.
Yeah, so we did 2 sets, right? On my second set,
that was fucking brilliant.
On my second set, towards the end, I thought, it's feeling alright, yeah. But I hadn't got out of it what I wanted, but things were finally firing. I felt good, and he was like, no.
He was like, come on, mate,
He was like, no, we're moving on. I was like, oh, go on, let me... He's like, no. He was like my old man. He was like my dad saying, no, we're not doing it. Come over here. So he pulled me over, and then he starts chatting to the videographer. About like doing his usual, justifying everything. Blah, blah. And as he's doing that, I fucking bomb it. Yeah,
I remember seeing the video, and he was like...
But we were the other side of the gym. So I literally run back to the other side of the gym, and I'm like, oh, we're going to do this now. So I kick him back, and I'm having a stormer of a set. And AJ realises it.
Where's Jack?
And he says to the videographer, he's like, oh, I've just about managed to pull Jack out.
I know, that's the bit that I remember seeing.
As he's saying it, he couldn't write it. He's like, we haven't managed to. And then they bomb it back over and they record me doing the set.
It seems like a skit, genuinely.
No, it did seem like it was set up.
That's the thing. It looked like it was set up, but it wasn't. It was so funny.
You must have sent that to me, Mark. You must have showed me.
I think I've shown a couple of members of my family that video, because it's so funny.
It's so funny.
You couldn't write it how well it was done.
So do you find it hard to train with people then? Because obviously you've spoke about this, but on the first episode of the Get Your Nut in the Game podcast, it's you, Keith, George, and Caitlin Hill. Caitlin Hill. I remember that was before you had your former partner. You were talking about, like, you know, you're in the like Instagram official stage now, and then obviously you were together, and then you've obviously separated now. And you know, did you have to cut people off then because of bodybuilding? Do you find that
in this example with her, it wasn't just because of bodybuilding, but I don't feel like I've had to cut people off because of bodybuilding, but it certainly doesn't bring people in. You know what I mean? I think, you know, for example, yesterday I went out with 2 mates last night for food, and I've been mates with them since we were 13 years old. Yes, I don't see them or talk to them as much as I should, probably because of bodybuilding. But, you know, it hasn't sort of cut us off at all. But it does definitely limit me, especially in terms of like relationships and stuff, you know, massively. And, you know, ultimately at the moment with everything I've got going on, especially in terms of like the psychological side of it, yes, it might help me to have someone else and, you know, almost like another...
In your corner sort of thing.
Yeah, but not just that, but almost also someone just to take me completely out of bodybuilding, you know? Because when I'm not thinking of bodybuilding, it's not really there, you know, because it's all... Because
you surround yourself with other people who are in the same industry.
That's the problem, innit?
And the only people you talk to are people who want to talk about bodybuilding.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm thinking now, what is the future like going to be for you? And you've got to think, you know, it could just spiral into... I don't even say one word that isn't relating to bodybuilding, and then you don't have any other part of you.
That's the problem. Like I go on Instagram and I think, what about these people in the world that their Instagram, like, for me, Instagram is a bodybuilding platform.
Yeah, it's just
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, I open up my Instagram and it's just bodybuilding. I think, you know, there are millions of people in the world, Jack, that open Instagram and their Instagram
they see like cars
looks like
or something else.
Some of it's cars, some of it's fashion. But to me, it's literally a bodybuilding platform, you know. But at the moment,
it is what you created.
Well, because of prep, it's actually bodybuilding and food accounts. So I think because it is so much to me, and the problem is, I want it to be that way though. I'm not bothered by that. But the problem is, at the moment, it seems that I can't quite let it, because it's bringing that sort of anxiety in and stuff. So even though I want it to be like that, it may require me to take a step back, bring other things in my life.
So is that what the future might look like? A little bit more balance?
Yeah. But at the same time, I would never want that balance to take away.
No, during prep, but you'd have to give yourself sort of like a bodybuilding, like in terms of the off season, you'd have to have a mental off season where you incorporate other parts of life.
Because you did that, didn't you? You did 5 years.
5-year off season.
Yeah, well, that'll do it.
I remember that you put was it 2017 you did that prep where you had the best wheels award?
Yeah.
I heard a rumor, right? I heard a rumor that you did not eat. You ate trace carbohydrates, you know, like just from veg. And
that
stuff.
was
26 weeks.
That was 2016.
All right. So
in 2016, it was I did a 16-week prep with the Galsies, and I didn't eat a single gram of carbs in that 16 weeks. Yes, my
but it's not going to be that hard after a while. You just go into keto, right?
No, because it wasn't keto. So
you were just on super low carbs.
Yeah. So
that's insane.
But then we quickly realised then that it's not the thing to do, and I just looked like, yes, I was peeled, but I just looked like Mo Farah. No offense, Mo Farah.
I think a lot of people know you for being inside out peeled. Where does that come from then? I know you're good at it, because I remember before you were saying that you used to get like a lot. You know, you used to do like your Q&As and stuff, and people would like criticize you for how much like tissue you've put on in the off season, and then you'd be like, yeah, but did you look like this when you were ripped? You know, do you know that sort of dynamic? So where did that come from then? How were you able to just block out everything? Because I remember in your stories, you know, in prep you'd say like you can embrace the suck of prep like easily. So where did that come from?
The strange thing is, I was actually quite a chubby kid. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's not as if I'm even someone that gets lean easily. Even though I kind of do now, but I think that's more through experience and the testament to I'm actually like relatively heavily muscled. Obviously that makes it easier. But as a kid, I was always quite chubby. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I was bullied really hard, but you know, I did get my fair share of stick, like. But which gave me a kick up the arse. Like when I was 14, I completely stopped eating chocolate, and I know I dabble in the dark chocolate now,
which I gifted.
But basically,
you're part of the problem, you man.
But basically, I didn't eat chocolate for 14 years. You know, one because I was a chubby kid and I couldn't seem, not fat, but I had I had a bit of chub, and I couldn't seem to. I was a massive chocoholic. There was a Spar on my road going home from school, and every day I would get like 2 chocolate bars, and then by the time I got home, I'd have ate those 2 chocolate bars, and I'd wash it down with a Nesquik, pint of chocolate Nesquik. Do you remember chocolate Nesquik?
Oh,
elite.
yeah.
Absolute elite. Yeah, so, and I had a massive sweet tooth chocoholic, I couldn't kick it, and then one day, 1st of December, I ate all my advent calendar, all of it, and I was like, I'm done, that's it. And no more chocolate. And I stopped it.
What, before
turkey.
Christmas?
Yeah, cold turkey, 1st of December, ate all my advent calendar, and I said, that's me done. And I never had chocolate again. Like, now, I'm not going to say I haven't had chocolate, because there are occasions where, like...
Yeah, but your head's different now, so you're not going to get fat now. You've got...
Yeah, but I still don't really have it. Like, you know, I think in the past year, I could tell you maybe 2 or 3 times I've had actual milk chocolate.
Oh, milk, not just dark.
Yeah, I don't count dark chocolate. I don't eat dark chocolate because I enjoy it, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather get the same calories from milk chocolate than I do dark. Like, I do the dark because of, like, the health and performance benefits.
Anti-inflammatories.
Yeah.
Well, I say that, but then I have the 70%, so it's a bit not really.
Still 70%.
Not really, Jack. You're meeting it about. Yeah. I want to say you're meeting it halfway, but technically I'm not meeting it halfway. I'm meeting it 70%. Yeah, I was always a fat kid, so it's not even the fact that I get lean easily. I think it just comes back to the passion side of it and the fear of failure. So, like, if I'm going on stage, the goal of being on stage is you have to be inside out. Like, that, there's no other, you know, my first competition when I was 22.
Is that with the hair? You know, that long hair?
Yeah, so I think it was... Yeah, I was 22. I did a PCA Welsh, and I was probably the only natty in the show. I want to say probably. There might have been a couple of others, but to my knowledge, I was the only natty in the show. There wasn't a junior class, so I competed in the men's. So, and I was easily the leanest in the show. And it was my first ever show as a 22-year-old. Never bodybuilding before. And I was peeled, like glutes inside out. Obviously, I didn't have a lot of well, I was okay. Muscle-wise, I was all right. That year, I won a natural junior show, went to Brits for BMBF and came 3rd. The other boys might listen to this. I think I should have won it, but it is what it is. I seem like a broken record. I seem to be saying that all the time.
Well, you should
have won it, but didn't. It is what it is. I'm happy. Yeah,
I'm getting shafted all the time in bodybuilding.
But you were inside out, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I remember, like, I took some pictures that year. I remember the day of the finals up in Scotland. I can remember looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, I'm peeled. I was like, shouted to my sister, Freya! And she doesn't care. She's just like she's just like me, and she's just like my dad. She doesn't care about anything. Like, it is what it is with her. So I just close all off, turn to the back, give it the old glute tuck and drive your elbow back, get the erectors. And I said, Freya, take pictures of this. And she was there, like, snapping pictures of my ass in the hotel room and stuff. And that was me at 22 years old, first ever year competing, and I was peeled. And then it was only 2017 where I started to get some real traction for getting, like, lean the second year of competing, because that's when there were some, like, quite freaky pictures getting sent out. So, like, I remember that's the first time I showed the IT band, which looks like I've had, like, multiple staples up the side of my leg. Kind of thing.
You posted on Halloween this year.
Yeah, that caught some big traction, and that's when people kind of thought, "Oh, you're lean." There's another picture where I'm hitting a back shot.
I want to see these.
And it must be, I think it's a vein, but it's like a squiggle going up my spine. It looks really weird, like really weird.
Spine. I mean, I've seen the carved veins, like squiggly veins.
This is a squiggle up my spine, like directly up my spine. I have to dig it out.
Oh, I want to see this.
But but to go back to the question, I think it's just, if you're gonna do something, you go all out. Like, I don't understand how people are still getting up on stage like fat or like holding fat. I just don't.
And by fat, you mean...
Yeah, but let's put it this way. There are people that listen to this podcast that know who I'm talking about here. I'm not going to name names. There are people last year that got up on stage...
But it's their own fault. They didn't put...
Pretty, like, I'm not going to say fat, but they were... You could see they were, like, actually almost... I want to say chubby.
For a bodybuilding sort of standard.
And it's like... The fuck? And I just don't know where that mindset comes from. That you can do that, not only in terms of just like a self-respect kind of thing, but the fact that you think that's like acceptable. I think the only time it happens is with people that aren't as all in as I am, because I can kind of see where that happens then. Because, you know, I've physically seen people this year cheat on their diet a few days out from a show, and this is like the biggest show in the world. The biggest show of your life, and you are cheating on your diet before a show.
That must be horrible.
And I don't want to sound extreme here. This is actually, you know, it's going to sound absolutely ridiculous, and it may even offend people, but I'm renowned for not giving a fuck about offending
Well, I'd rather you not censor yourself in this podcast.
Yeah, speak freely.
You know?
So, like, I am renowned for Mr. Consistency. I don't mess up. Like, I don't veer off my diet. I don't do that.
I was bringing that up, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, meal prep in a hearse. That's what you said before.
Have you done that?
Done that. No off-plan meals.
You should.
I remember last year watching your Christmas dinner, and it was just all meat, like no carbs. I was thinking, what?
I've had my Tupperware meal in the back of a hearse before. My mother was not happy, but I said, "Mum, it was my Mam Gee's funeral, my Nan's funeral," and I said, "Mum, do you really think Nan's gonna give a fuck about me eating? Like, I'm not being disrespectful here." I said, "Do you think Nan would really mind me eating my meal here now? She wouldn't care." So yeah, I've done that. I went 16 months without a single... This isn't me getting my dick out and going, "Oh, it's this big," because it's not, okay? But I went 16 months without a single meal off. So the same 5 meals every day for 19 months.
Aubergine, beetroot, beef,
you can name it, mate.
chicken.
Literally. Yeah, well, it's easy because we literally every morning see you in your story.
So
because you document everything, as you said.
I think, but that's also a bit of an ego thing as well. But getting back to
offending people,
I put a pressure on myself, and I think that's what keeps me accountable. That I allow this pressure, which is why I almost welcome it from social media. Which is why I almost put everything out there, because people know
because they want big things now.
Yeah, but also they know what I'm having. Like, if I don't put a meal up, they're like, "Has he missed a meal?" They're like, "Jack, have you missed a meal?"
So like, it is an ego thing. Then you're like, look at me every.
But I bring it on, and it's like, if I ever cheated on my diet, this is going to sound so extreme, and it is. If I ever cheated on my diet, I have lost the person I am to a degree, because I am Mr. I don't mess up, I don't veer off, I do this 100%. The second that happens, I've kind of lost who I am, and then it puts doubt in my mind. If you're not that person, then
who are you?
Who are you? And it's almost like
that will take your head off, probably, wouldn't it?
I without actually saying it, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, my head off, gone.
Like you literally like that spiral down to nothing, and then that's it. You're
gone.
Would it be like a drug addiction and like that sort of spiral?
Oh, you're telling me you literally just killed yourself?
Yeah. Because who? Yeah. Because
but that's that. No, I'm sorry.
That's who am I? Yeah, but then who am I?
You can't have one meal off without wanting to kill yourself.
No, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying not a meal off. I'm saying if I fucking cheated on my diet.
It's the principle of the fact that you knew you weren't supposed to have, and you've cheated.
And I had it. So that's gonna sound so extreme, and it is. But
that's what it takes. That's why
it's never gonna fucking happen.
No,
I can promise you now, it's never gonna happen. This year, I felt like ending it all the time through bodybuilding, because it's made me feel so shit. Not once have I even considered cheating on my diet, because it's not an option. It's not an option. You don't cheat on your diet. Like, I haven't been able, like, I felt like not getting out of bed. Still done my cardio every day. But like, 5 o'clock, 4:30. I've never missed that. You know, it's just not an option for me. I don't allow it to be an option, because the problem is the second you start allowing it to be an option,
creeps in,
and it'll creep into every element of your life.
I agree with that so much.
And the problem is, yes, this mindset is what gets me to where I have in terms of like conditioning, bodybuilding, whatever. But it potentially is what's caused the absolute minefield that is my head as well.
It's like a double-edged sword then.
So like my mind is my strongest and worst asset, because the pressure that puts on me has potentially given me that anxiety. So I don't want it to meet. I don't want to sacrifice it to kind of like put a bit less pressure on myself. I want to be able to keep that pressure there and be able to manage it, because I think that is possible. Because there are plenty of people in this world that have done it. All the top performers in the world. There's no balance with them.
Oh, hell no.
You know, so that they have that same standard, but they're able to cope with it, and it is possible. You know, so
finishing last year, because you know, obviously I could follow up with a question saying, you know, if the whole of the year you struggled the whole year, you didn't really enjoy much, then what is the point of you doing it?
Because the thing is, I said I'm competing. See, this is the difference with me and like anyone else.
Well, me, because I'm nowhere near as passionate.
It's not just you. Without sounding arrogant, it's everyone. There might be a couple of other absolute fucking Fruit Loops out there. There might be, but if I say I'm doing something, because I was meant to compete in 2020 and 2021. You can ask Clwb this. Cool. I was meant to compete those years. But every year I thought the injuries are going to hold you back. Hold off another year, get it sorted even more. Or it was always, you can be a little bit better, and I knew I could. And then I thought to myself, do you know what, you're going to say that every year. You're going to say that to yourself every year, and you're not going to compete. So I said, and Clwb was always like, oh, you're a retired bodybuilder, even though who's the fucking retired bodybuilder now? Clwb Gibson is. But he would always say to me, and all the boys would back in Swansea, they always say, oh, you're a retired bodybuilder. You know, you're 27 and you're a retired bodybuilder. Trying to give me the push to get back on. So I said to myself, all right, 2022, I'm going to do it. And I was actually feeling really good about it. I think it was like January, February time. I was at my all-time biggest. I had a really good sort of, obviously I had my girlfriend at the time. We were going for meals like every week. We were having a achievement, like I was doing sushi every week. I was doing Five Guys every week. I was living a dream, because I was training like an absolute demon. Training was going really well at the time. I just secured the move up to Rotherham. So I was essentially living the dream. I was literally living the bodybuilding dream. Yeah. You know, coaching was going pretty well. Training out of a new gym rather than I'd just done the move with George. So everything was like, you know, peak really. Started prep March, mid-March time. And then I think as soon as I started prep, that's when sort of stress kind of come in, literally as soon as I started. And then it just progressively got worse and worse. And I continually started to feel worse and worse, and it started to creep into all aspects of life. Because the problem with bodybuilding, it is an all-day endeavour. Oh, yeah. So, like, for example, in rugby, you might be anxious about playing or training, but once you've done that, that's kind of you done. The problem with the bodybuilding side is I've got like cardio to be doing first thing in the morning. I've got posing to be doing straight after that. Yeah. And the anxiety side of it started to creep into all of those elements.
Just not the gym, is it?
Yeah. So don't get me wrong, for a lot of the time it was just in the gym. But then it slowly crept into other things. And I'm talking loads of things now. So like I said, it would be the cardio in the morning, even though, you know, it's not a stressful endeavour. I don't have to perform well doing cardio.
You just have to do it.
But it was even just that, but it's because it was the whole, is this thing going to come on whilst I'm doing it? Yeah. Because when I'm posing, for example, if this comes on, I can't feel what I'm doing, and also it wouldn't allow me to sort of brace properly, so I can't hit poses properly, which is why, you know, you may have seen some of the videos I put up when I'm doing stupid stuff out in the back garden trying to pose.
Yeah, I remember that video.
You know, that sounds ridiculous to anyone onlooking there. The fact that all you need to do is stand in your budgie smugglers and hit a front double bicep, and I couldn't do it because of it. And the problem is, it just started to spiral out of control there. So I knew that this head issue would come on when I was posing. So then I would preempt it, and like in the build up to going out there, it would start to come on even in the build up because I knew it was coming. And it got to the stage where, like, my morning routine, for example, when I got up in the morning, I'd do my cardio, but then after my cardio, I'd be meal prepping, waiting for the sun to come up for me to do my pictures or whatever. So little things that I'd be doing whilst I was meal prepping, for example, like my cream of rice. When I started to make my cream of rice, I'd feel it coming on because I associate the meal prep with, oh, in 10, 15 minutes time, you're going out and doing the posing. So
they're all interlinked.
It started to just interlink. But the
problem, years of routine though, and it's just in the back of your head.
Yeah,
you know what's coming.
The problem was, it got to the stage where it literally was there all day though. So
do you think if you change your routine, you could program yourself out of that anxiety?
I've had people mention that to me multiple times. So whether the change of routine would help it. The problem is, I don't want to change my routine. And that's not saying, oh, well, you need to change it. I should be able to have that routine without it happening.
Yeah, that's your point.
And and I haven't spoken about this because it's still early doors, but I sat myself down a couple of days. It was only a couple of days ago, and I know the common trend here, in not just in bodybuilding but in life in general. They're saying men should be able to speak. It's okay to not be okay, this, that and the other. And that is true. And it's all very well and good. But I sat myself down the other day and I said, Jack, you used to be a bit of a hard fucking nut. You know, you used to be a bit of a tough bloke. At the moment, you're accepting whatever's going on here. You're feeling sorry for yourself. And this whole, like, it's okay to be okay. You're kind of like accepting it, and you're putting it out on your story every day that you're struggling with this, you're struggling with that. Like, yes, I'm still continuing on through it. I'm not letting it beat me, but at the same time, I'm bringing light to it.
You're giving it the satisfaction and allowing it to take over.
Yeah, giving it room in your space.
To a degree. So I said to myself, I'm not going to talk about it on my social media anymore, even though I did feel like to some people it actually helped them because it saw that I was struggling with it, but I was still going on. I'm saying I'm not going to talk about it on social media anymore because to a degree, I was almost using it as a cushion to say I'm not where I want to be. I'm not as good as I should be
because of that.
Because of it. And I said to myself, well, I'm not fucking...
You were allowing yourself to not be...
Yeah, so if I had a bad session, I'd say I had a bad session because my anxiety was bad. Or, you know, or I'd say, oh, I did really well this year, considering. It's like, no, I'm not fucking accepting this shit anymore.
To be fair, did you say stuff like that a lot? Oh, I did really well considering this, considering that.
And now, like, yes, to be fair, I am being very hard on myself now. Like, really hard on myself. But at the end of the day, if you want to be excellent at anything, you need to be.
I think that's good, yeah.
You know? And I am I'm not cutting myself enough slack at all. No one would carry on through this position. But at the same time, if I want to get where I want to be, if I want to kick this out, which I have to do, I'm going to have to be a bit savage with it. So I said to myself, I'm not talking about it on social media anymore. I'm not... Because like now and again, I put up at the end of the day, I had one of the best days in a while, head issue wasn't there, this, that and the other. I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I'm not bringing light to it. It's not there anymore. Because the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, the more it's there. So I'm being a bit hard on myself now and saying, you need to stop being a little bitch about it. And it's not there. You know what you have to do to get through it. You know, like, you've got to do all this prehab work. You've got to do all this. You've got to do that. You can't let this anxiety stop you doing it.
But I think there's a lot of benefits to just
I like your approach,
accepting that it's not something that's forced upon you and you have no control of it. Take back control of yourself and your feelings and just say, I don't want to feel like this, so I'm not going to give it the time of day.
But that's the thing, and I've said this to people before, because I've talked down many a people from suicide, okay, and like many a people. It's not nice. Some quite close to me, some not that close to me, but I still managed to do it. And the problem is, you have to want to change.
I agree.
That's the main thing that a lot of these people don't see. They feel the way they do, but they're not willing to put in the effort. Because the thing is, feeling sorry for yourself and being miserable is easy, because you just wallow in your own misery.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it might hurt and it may upset you, but it's easy. It doesn't
require
any action. What requires action is you saying, no, I'm not going to fucking be like this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something about it and change. But change is hard. Yeah? So putting that effort in to be different and change is fucking hard, and it takes effort. What's not hard is sitting there going, I feel sorry for myself, crying your eyes out, crying yourself to sleep. Yeah. And it goes back to like comfort eating as well. That kind of comes into it as well. But that's, you know, we are getting on different topics there, you know. But not accepting where you're at and wanting to change is hard. And that's something I've taken upon myself now. You know, it is hard, and I am going to have to do something about it.
It's a big self-awareness journey, really, I think.
It is. The problem with me is I'm too self-aware. Like, that's what's... Like, with this whole anxiety...
It's because you think into it so deeply.
I think about things too much,
Yeah, because there's a problem if you're not self-aware, then you have these problems and it pisses you off because you feel upset and you think, but I'm doing well. Like, there's no reason for that. Mm-hmm. And then you think you have some sort of clinical problem, you know, and then if you're too self-aware, and I'm a little bit like this as well, you turn into like some sort of philosopher. You're thinking about the meaning of life. You're like...
Because that's the main problem with this thing. It's there when I think about it, okay? But the problem I come into now is, if I want to try and get over it, it requires me...
to not think about it.
Yeah, but then how do you get rid of something when I'm trying to...
Because you're thinking about not thinking, which means you think about it.
You're automatically thinking about it then, have you?
Yeah, but you've just, as I said, you've just got to stop talking about it on social media.
No,
don't give it the satisfaction. Exactly.
Yeah, it's not there. It's not a thing.
It's like water. It's like water outside the ship and inside the ship. You can't let it leak in. No. I really like this approach, and I think that this is going to really help you. So in your ideal world, then, what does Jack Thorburn's world look like without this, that feeling and the anxiety? Like, what is your ideal situation, and how do you think you're going to get there? Well, I think you said that.
Well, to be fair, in that January, February of last year, I was pretty close to it. Mm. You know, I was training pretty. Don't get me wrong, I've got the sort of physical niggles or whatever, but they are manageable around. They don't stop my quality of life. And like I said, I was on top of them a lot. They were getting a lot better, and I got no doubt I can get them a lot better. So in that time, I was living a very, good, ideal life for me. The thing is, for me, I can live a very simple life. If my training's good, honestly,
everything else,
I don't really care about much other things. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like nice things. I do like nice clothes. I do like this, that, and the other. But ultimately, if my training's good and I feel good about myself, I'm looking good, I don't really care about...
Yeah.
Like, this is an arrogant example, but when I was in college, I used to purposely grow and have stupid haircuts. And if anyone said to me, you look stupid, this, that, and the other, like, I remember I used to have... Back before they were cool, I don't know if you've seen the old pictures, I used to have a stinking mullet.
I've never seen this.
Oh, it's fantastic. 2010, I was
9 years old.
2010, 2011, I had a stonker of a mullet, and it wasn't like the mullets these days where all this is long. It was a mullet, and then I had a shape, like I had wasn't that much longer than yours. So I had a Polynesian fringe, so I'd shave my fringe, I'd have a little bit on the top, and I'd spike all that up. Like, I wanted to be a New Zealander, essentially. So I had a mullet, and then I also shaved it into a sullet, which is just a mullet on one side. So I'd shave it all, so it was just a chunk that side. And then I also...
I'm not going to lie, it sounds shit.
And then I also braided that into a rat tail then. So
Jack.
I also dyed it blonde, right? So I had all these haircuts, I had all these haircuts. And my response to anyone that said I looked stupid or anything along those lines was, yeah, but I'm in mad shape, so who cares?
Pop these pecs.
I just be like, yeah, but look at me. I don't care. And that used to be my attitude all the time. Because for me, physique carries so much... This is maybe like a skewed viewpoint. But to me, physique carries so much, like, so much value. And which is why if I'm feeling good in myself, I don't care about many other things. And I know that's really narrow-minded and there's so much more in life. But that's always been the case for me. So in an ideal world, as long as I'm feeling pretty confident in how I'm looking, I'm training well, that brings me so much happiness. And then, but the thing is, I think by me being happy, other things naturally fall into place. So like my business will be better.
Like a compound effect.
Yeah. So the business will be better. So that'll improve in itself. You know, I'm happier, so I'm talking to more people. Relationships are formed. You know, like I'll be honest with you. I didn't get in a relationship or even like entertain getting in a relationship for like 6 years because I wasn't happy. So after my prep in 2017, because of a few injuries and my training wasn't great, I wasn't happy, and I literally did not entertain the fact like getting a girlfriend for literally like 6 years.
Well, that's where me and Matthew are at now, because we're not in anywhere near the shape we want to be in. And I think it's affecting everything in my life. I think it is the source of a lot of lack of motivation and lack of discipline and inconsistency and all things that are in my life. I feel like I don't feel worthy of respect because I can't even get myself in shape. And it goes back to that look good, feel good, play good thing, where when you don't feel good if you don't look good. And I don't feel good because I can feel I'm not what I want to feel. I haven't got enough muscle and I got too much fat. I'm not in the shape I want to be in. And I think it affects my performance in all areas of my life. And me and Matthew have already said, even though we're not where we want to be, we can already feel that, you know, when we are in shape, it is going to solve some problems. It is going to... And you wake up every morning thinking, yeah, I built this. I'm in good shape. This required hard work. As opposed to... This is the result of lack of attention to detail and letting myself go. How's that for poor masculinity and just lack of respect to yourself? Yeah,
because I've started. I was showing you like I've started cutting with Slough when I'm on a plan, and I can already feel the benefits of eating right. And,
I can't see them.
And training. Well, we'll have a look at you, Alex, after this. But I'm already feeling good about myself, and I think that's so key. And I think when you're in such a good shape, it puts that sort of like ease in your mind. If everything else goes wrong, I'm still in good shape. You know, if I die right now, at least I die with massive pecs and abs. And I think that there's such a good positive mental mindset.
Well, I've seen it from you as well, since you've got your diet in order, because that was the only problem with you. Your training's always been quite hard anyway, quite good.
Yeah, I'm quite consistent. I'm very consistent.
Exactly, and your training's been good. It's just your diet was a bit crap, probably. It must have been, because you put more weight on than you should have.
Yeah.
But you trained hard anyway. You did train a failure. You know, and I've seen it from you now. Your head just seems to be... Because you'd come in sometimes and you'd be kind of be like... I don't know, you're kind of lost, kind of not lazy, but I don't know, a little bit all over the place. But now, since this year, since you started working with Clwb, I can already see you focus on moving forward as opposed to just sort of figuring out what it is you need to do.
But I went through that. You know, when you were talking about it's easy to wallow in self-pity. Like I was going through all that stuff with like depression. I don't really want to get into it, but I sort of adopted your attitude, you know, the whole like, just deal with it, man up. And I started to take the sort of response in life that everything is my fault.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who can fuck it up, and I'm the only one who can make it work.
Sure.
And I think that is the best
Golden Andrew Tate quote that was.
Well, it is. I mean, you know, I don't want to I don't want to say this political, but there's a lot of things people hate about Andrew Tate, but there's a lot of things you can take from him. And I think that is a very good thing, that everything in life is your fault. You are in control of your own mind, whether you let it take you over or whether you take over your own mind. And I think that's something that all successful people have.
Full accountability.
Do you feel like you have that like full accountability of yourself, Jack?
There were times this year with the whole head thing where I'd like be in the gym and all of a sudden it would come on and I'd be like breaking down. I'd be thinking, why is this happening? Like, like, why me? Like, why does this keep happening? I'm trying everything, this, that, and the other. And so
why does it keep happening to me? So as if it's some sort of external force. So maybe the step forward is to realise that this has happened probably because I ignored the guy who told me to sort it years ago. I have done this to myself, even if it is something that, even if you were born with it, still take accountability for it. I can't see any wrong in that, apart from a bit of short-term emotion and thinking, shit, no one's coming to fix this for me. You know, I've never found it productive to wonder why other people are in a better situation than me. Let's say they were brought up in a better family, as in a more richer family. I never bother entertaining the debate as to, maybe if I, was in that position, things would be better, or why should I have to go through this extra work? You are where you are. Your situation right now is what it is. You've just got to take accountability for everything, whether you think you inflicted it upon yourself or not, and then just find a way to move forward. It's easier said than done because I don't even know how to do it.
But I think you're the sort of person who will get there though, because you're so.
I have to though.
Exactly.
That's this is the accountability thing. Once again, like I said with the whole bodybuilding show, if I'm doing it, I'm doing it. Like I said, I'm doing this. I haven't got any other option. Like for me, I went all in on bodybuilding a very long time ago. So there's no other choice. I have to get through it. I have to do it because, for better or for worse, I haven't got anything else. I know I could have other things, of course I could. Yeah. But I've purposely not had anything else.
Because you can't fail.
Yeah, so I have to, like, it's the pressure on again.
So have you deliberately created this isolated environment where there's no plan B, there's nothing to fall back on? Your life is bodybuilding. So if you take bodybuilding,
there's no plan B.
Yeah, you take bodybuilding out of your life and there's nothing.
Yeah. Onlookers may say, well, that's the reason why you're such a Fruit Loop then. That's why you've got all that pressure on you. Well, yeah, but you need to.
But why create plan B? That's a cop out.
What is the point
in the wallowing thing once again? Exactly. Because you've got that backup.
Yeah, I can just do this. Yeah. I can just do X, Y, and Z. Like you could probably become a personal trainer and just be out of shape and tell people what to do. But you're not going to do that realistically. Never.
There's so many things I could do. So many things. But
go back and play rugby or something.
Become a teacher. There's no. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Jack. I think there's no point in having a plan B.
But there's another side to this in terms of the fact that you've literally given yourself just bodybuilding. Claire was talking about this as well, about not being a jack of all trades, or being a jack of all trades and a master of none. Yeah. I actually completely disagree. Whereas I am not somebody who will go 100% into one thing. I like to do lots of different things. And that's a completely different mindset to what you've got. Like, I won't give myself one thing. I like making music. We do the podcast. I like investing. And I give myself 7 or 8 different things. And I just spread my time across them all. And that might be... I don't even know whether you can compare them. They're just different strategies. And I don't see you ever doing something like that.
The only issue with that is...
I will never excel in any of them.
In them.
That's the trade-off.
But the difference is... you may still get massive enjoyment out of all of those things.
I feel like I call myself a lifestyle entrepreneur. I want to build different areas of things that I enjoy. I can pay somebody who's a specialist. I can pay somebody...
isn't it? A lifestyle entrepreneur.
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
But I can
get out the bio. Come on.
I should actually. I can pay somebody who's an expert at editing. Do you know what I mean? I can do that. I can offload everything and I can just make important decisions, build new businesses, put money into different things. That is fun for me. I don't want to spend my whole life in bodybuilding. I don't want to spend my whole life being a powerlifter, being an elite level powerlifter. I don't give a shit for it. I just want to think of what I want in life, what would bring me joy, and find a way to monetize these different things and do it for a living. And then pay people to do all the boring shit.
Ultimately, we are on this planet once. You just got to do whatever the fuck makes you happy.
I agree.
That's literally it.
But I do think there's nothing wrong with your strategy. I also think there's nothing wrong with my strategy. The only
problem is, at the moment, there is a problem in my strategy because the one thing that I have decided is my only thing is not
going as well,
bringing me happiness. Yeah. Because it's not where...
Maybe you've been natural for too long.
Oh, don't start this debate about gear and all
but when I am in control of it and it's going the way it should, I am the happiest person. I remember 2017, because this all set on in 2017, the whole hip thing, that's when it really kicked in.
Yeah.
I can remember before it did, I used to drive home from the gym every day along the Swansea front. Sun would be beaming because it was summer. And I was quite deep into prep, so I was in pretty good nick. And I thought, how could life be this good? Honestly, I can remember saying every day to myself, how can life be this good? Because I was living the dream. Like, I think I just finished sixth form, so I didn't really have a care in the world. I was doing placement for Scarlet.
It's like youthful arrogance.
So I didn't have to pay for anything. I was still at home. Yeah, kind of youthful arrogance. Didn't have any issues, nothing. And I was just thinking, life, how can it be this good? So, you know, when bodybuilding's going well for me, it's literally
your dream life.
It's be so much so.
So you're not sort of like kind of okay with things. You're either in the gut, I feel like shit, this life is not bringing me happiness, or you're on top of the world. Sort of like bipolar.
There's no kind of in between.
I think I'm more like you here, Jack, because all I care about in my life at the minute is business and training. Like, I don't care. Like, do you know, like the whole like going out drinking and going out and like socializing?
That's different. That's not about isolation. That's just about the way you.
If I had my way, I would just be the only people I would come in contact with would be my close friends, you, and the other people. So
am I not in the? Am I not in the category?
No, but you're my business partner, so there's obviously like a lot of different.
Well, I'm changing my list of who was in my close friends.
No, but you're obviously someone I can trust.
You're not in the close friends on Instagram.
But I've obviously displayed a level of trust in you because we're in business together. So what I'm trying to say is like, I'm going to obviously put my close friends as well. You're my business partner and my friend at the same time. But you're mainly my business partner first.
I'm a great asset to your life.
Yes, you are. I am more towards your camp here, Jack, where I would rather just put myself in complete isolation, work like I don't even know like an expression to say, but just work and just achieve results. I think that's the way to do it, especially like at a young age where you're mobile, because you're pretty mobile. You don't like have any children or anything like that, so you can just graft and work. And I like that idea more than spreading myself too thin and just doing loads of different things.
Do you reckon you could do this with a kid?
Imagine that.
That's Mini Thorburn. I can't imagine it. See, I just can't.
Because you're at that age now where you got to think about when you want children. Because obviously, like I feel like a child myself now.
With how I am at the moment, not a chance. Because the way I am at the moment is one of the reasons why I really struggled with the relationship. Because obviously, if I'm training for 6 hours a day, so what the schedule looked like when I was still with my ex, and I started to struggle with the training side. You know, I do my cardio in the morning, a couple of meals, go and train, and then by the time I finish training, it would be going on maybe 8 o'clock.
You'd have to find a really dedicated.
I'd go home, eat a meal, and then drive to hers. I'd be getting to hers half 9, and then it's like
sleep cardio.
I've got 20 minutes. I've got cardio at 4 in the morning or whatever. So maybe we might put a movie on for an hour tops, and that's all we're getting like. Do you know what I mean?
So you can't allow anything else to kind of routine that. I really respect that, because you're giving up so much sort of, you know, like instant gratification of having a girlfriend and like dieting and stuff like that in the aim for something else.
When you're prepping for a natural bodybuilding show, there's no real gratification in having a missus, really, because nothing's going on anyway. Do you know what I mean? So.
But to others, that is, you know, comfort. You could have a comfy life. You know, we could all have a comfy life. You could easily just go out to the pub every weekend. I could eat shit every day. I could have a Domino's every weekend. Do you know what I mean?
It's not too dissimilar to what our lives are like now, to be honest.
I mean, I'm not having a Domino's anymore. I don't know.
No,
I don't know about that. But you could do that, but you're choosing not to. And I think that's such an important thing in life, because comfort kills dreams. You know, if you quit every time you're uncomfortable, where would you be in life?
But you've got to have that dream, because what would the struggle be worth it if you didn't know where you were going? It's because you have that end goal. You have, I am getting there, and you're just thinking, fuck, it's going to be hard work. I've got to do it anyway.
So what is your dream then? If you had to put one thing into manifestation, what would it be?
My old man asked me this, and I struggle with it. Because the problem with bodybuilding, it's a never-ending endeavour.
Journey, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But like, what would your like?
I've always kind of said that I'd like to get a natural pro card, and then at least be, you know, do a few shows competitively. But then it's like, what does being competitive in a pro lineup mean? This year, goal-wise, I said I wanted to compete abroad, and I achieved that. So the fact that I managed to achieve my goal for this year, I felt very happy with that, considering where I was through a lot of it, you know. But the thing is that seems like such a narrow goal, really, just to say turn pro. Because, you know, you might... I could have turned pro this year if the stars had aligned. And then it's like, what? So the whole of your goal in life has already been achieved by 28. It's like, no, that's not the case. So it's I think in terms of coaching as well, I'd really like to get more of that going. That needs to be a bit of a goal. But I am very selfish as well, and ultimately, I had a big argument with my mother about this last night. Like, you are on this planet to achieve personal goal. Like, you're on this planet for you, really.
Matthew had a big argument with his mother earlier about this.
Because she, like, my mum proper kicked off about this. She was saying, you're so selfish or something.
I think you've got to be.
Do you know what? It was the reason why it came about was because I was talking about Clwb. And I was talking about how he's literally gone from, because it's a complete 360. He's gone from all I care about is me bodybuilding, and now he's got this huge community that he's...
But he wouldn't have been able to do them both together, because you can't have it. When you have a selfishness, you can't invest in other people like that.
But he could still... This isn't a knock on him at all. He could have had the both, but he's... what he's got going on now with the coaching is huge. But like, I had a laugh with him yesterday. He came on his story and he said, a bit of a personal update. And then his personal update was all to do with the business. And he is like so business. It's what he has to be now, though, because he's trying to help so many people. But I just don't. And me and him had a discussion about this the other day, because he asked me, like, what makes you happy? And I said to him, there's no way that what makes you really happy is when you haven't got anything personal going on and you're just in the business. I said that can't be fulfilling everything, but you know, maybe it's just a difference in people. I don't know, because I struggle to see the people that, you know, dedicate their whole lives to doing, like, you know, aid and charity work. Do you know what I mean? Like, people that...
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, their whole lives, they go around helping others. Like, fair play to them, because they're doing great things. But I really struggle with the fact that you've dedicated your whole life to helping others.
There seems to be a cycle that a lot of successful people go through. The first sort of 20 years of their sort of professional... It's selfish. They build themselves. And once they've stepped on heads and they've got to the top... They can start thinking about how can they give back.
Be humble.
I've been very reserved and very quiet on my stories this year because, once again, I've been feeling sorry for myself. The real me is very self-assured and very outspoken. If you followed me back in 2017, I was outing everyone on my social media. It was hilarious. And I got no problem sticking up for myself and all this. But that's a prime example of where... this year I haven't been myself, and like we said earlier, kind of like a bit of feeling sorry for yourself kind of thing, which is why I'm taking it back now, having a bit of a you know
change in direction.
Yes, but having a bit of a chip on my shoulder.
This is a perfect time for you to do a bit of a podcast. Then, as a bit of a life update for everyone, and then we can do part two in a few months.
I'm a fucking bad boy.
Yeah,
running the Rotherham.
Yeah, you should be, and you need to get revenge on those people that are calling you out for your bicycles. Remember that old beef? That was funny.
Yeah, but they ain't hammered.
And then you were just looking at the camera, pause midway up, and just look at the camera.
I haven't done that for a while. Though.
Tell you what, though, the best one was when there was a seminar going on in Ultraflex Rotherham, right? And then I was watching someone's story, right? And there's a seminar going on in Ultraflex Rotherham. You know where the free weights area is?
Yeah. It was a massive one with Jordan Shallows. Do you know Jordan Shallows?
Have you heard of him?
Muscle Doc. On Instagram, huge following.
Yeah?
Yeah, there was about 30 people at this seminar.
And then next thing you know, then you see it's all quiet. Next thing you it's Jack Thorburn curling.
But you won't believe it, right? So it's a normal training day now, and they basically have this huge seminar, 30-odd people in a group, and they're walking around the gym, standing over different bits of equipment. And I'm thinking, I'm prepping for a fucking show, yeah? I got shows to win. I can't afford to have days when I'm not going to send it because I've got to be quiet for Jordan Shallow's seminar. So I'm like, oh, fuck this. They are in the free weights area. I'm like, I got curls to do. So I'm hammering the 50s now, and I'm just absolutely sending it. And I said, if I got to do this for a minute whilst they're doing it, so be it. So I don't think Jordan Shallows would have approved of my hammer kill form, but
who cares what he thinks? To be honest, as long as you approve of what you do, then I don't.
Well, it doesn't matter about approval. It's about what the shape that you're.
No, but if you're happy with what you're doing and you don't care about anyone else's opinion,
but that's based on whether it works.
Yeah.
So if you're in good shape, then who the fuck cares? Then
Exactly.
My biceps could have been better this year, though. They definitely could have been better, but they're not too bad.
Well, they're probably better than I was, to be fair.
I got good arm genetics though, but I see they're usually just full of water.
We said that as well, actually, when we mentioned you in the whole cheat curl sort of clip. We mentioned that who cares what happens, you get results, and I think that's probably key in that sort of scenario.
Yeah. So, I don't want to go into it because it boiled me. This goes back to Forward Abia. Have you watched their recent podcast?
Forward Abia, no. I've seen the one of him dying at the 20k challenge.
He's a typical bro bodybuilder, and everything he's done in his bodybuilding career is through his genetics and his he trains hard, but his form and just the way he trains is not great. So his idea of what's good for training is so skewed. He's so uneducated, and they literally spent a 60-minute argument with two bodies that are very educated in Ian Valier and one of the other gentlemen on the podcast. I can't remember his name. It's gone. And they argued, Justin Shire, they argued for 60 minutes straight, and I'm listening thinking, I can't listen to this because Fuad's such a bro.
Yeah.
But I like to think I have a half-decent education, so I know what I'm doing to a degree. So. Well,
A1 Staines was certainly impressed with what you were teaching him when you were doing pull.
Oh, well.
And so I think
that's one thing I really struggle with. So I have a lot of knowledge without blowing my own trumpet again, but because of the physical side and also the mental side now, I struggle to display it with my own performance. Whereas if you give me someone that's physically fit, I'll take them through everything, and they'll be amazed with the difference it makes in their training, which is why I struggle to put myself out there in terms of reels on Instagram, this, that and the other. But I need to, once again, not wallow in my own bullshit and accept it and think, no, you need to hold yourself to a standard and force yourself to actually perform, not say, oh, I can't, which goes back to the whole training with people as well.
Yeah.
I don't train with people because I accept I'm going into that session telling myself already that I'm not going to be able to perform, so I can't train with them. Whereas maybe if I said, no, you are going to train with them and you're going to demand higher of yourself to be able to reach that, to be able to, then, maybe that's the difference.
That's more pressure created then on top because you're training with someone else, wouldn't it?
So I think, going back to putting out content, etc., I need to say, no, I can do it. I need to put a bit of pressure on myself and say, you need to hold yourself in a higher standard with it.
Yeah.
So
I think there's going to be a lot of people listening to this who are going to see a different side of you in this podcast now. And I think
but at the same time, there might be some people that look at it and think he's an absolute arsehole. And if that's the case, you're clearly not.
Just don't follow you.
You're clearly not for me anyway, so I don't give a fuck about you anyway.
Yeah.
So do you mean the people who I attract are the people I want to be around anyway. So quite often the people I put off aren't people that I'm going to resonate with anyway. I am very aware, but funny enough, with drug-free bodybuilding, you get tested every year, and you also get polygraphed. So they come and do a lie detector test.
Yeah.
The person who took my polygraph this year told me before I even started the test that I'm arrogant and that I'm going to fail the test. I said, what do you mean I'm arrogant? He said, you're telling me he asked me, do you think I'm going to fail? Am I going to fail the test? I said, of course I'm not going to fail the test.
Why would you say, yes, I am?
I said, of course I'm not going to fail the test. He said, and he goes, 100% of people that have your attitude fail this test. And I said, well, after this, it's going to be 99%. And he goes, see, this is the attitude I'm talking about. I said, it's not an attitude. I said, I know I've never taken a performance-enhancing drug, so why am I going to say I'm going to fail it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to pass it.
And you passed.
And I passed it. So I said to him after, fuck off. But that's why the arrogance, people perceive it as arrogance. It's not arrogance, it's just pure self-confidence. I know where I'm at, I know what I'm worth.
This is the thing, modern day, people want people to be humble
shy
about everything. And they want people to be less dominant, less aggressive.
That's the problem. I'm so aggressive in everything I do.
Yeah, but it's a personal attack on people.
It isn't. because the way I talk to people sometimes is fucking shocking, and I don't hear it, and then I listen back and I think, fucking hell, was that how I was talking? But it's just because often I'm really passionate about what I'm talking about. That's a start. But also I'm very, very highly strung and I'm quite aggressive all the time. But that's just who I am. I'm not sat here wanting to take your head off, but I'm just like, you know, quite aggressive all the time. Quite often it comes to it's just the passion side of a lot of it. You know?
So the passion just spills over then into other aspects.
Yeah, but again, as you said earlier, the people who understand that level of ambition and passion are going to be completely...
Resonate with you.
They're going to understand and be like, okay, that's why. It's usually the people that don't understand why you could be that passionate about stuff that are probably going to be personally attacked by it. Like, why? What right does he have to be speaking like that?
But then they're not going to be around you anyway, like you said.
Yeah.
But I can see your argument, and I know why you're like the way you are, because you've got to be that way to succeed. If there's anything less, then you're not going to be where you want to be.
If you're not a savage and things, you'll get lost in this world very easily. Very easily. Like, no offense, like a lot of the people I went to school with, so many nice people. I can't tell you any of them that are doing
Big things.
Yeah.
I know that could be quite harsh of me. Like, at the end of the day, you're a small-time natural bodybuilder. Like, are you really doing big things? But I'd like to think at the end of the day, I know social media following doesn't mean jack shit really, but you know, I've quite a decent following on social media. I've been to a world championships in bodybuilding. I could have potentially won it. I could have been the best in the world.
Yeah, but most importantly, you're following your dream, whereas most people are average. They go and make an average job, and they are boring people. The amount of people that I went to school with, and it's too early to tell what people's lives are going to turn out like, because I'm only 21. Yeah. But the people that I went to school with, the cool kids that everyone wanted to be like, they're just bog standard people, and they're all the same. They're all the same. It's only there are very few people. We're not doing much, but people still applaud the fact that we're doing something different. That's a compliment for me, because at least
and different, and you enjoy it as well. It's what you want to
exactly.
do.
It's what I want to do, and I'm doing it.
They're doing the same thing, and they don't like it.
That's the thing. Yeah. There's a quote by Jim Carrey: "You can fail at what you don't want to do, so you might as well do what you want to do anyway."
You might as well fail at doing what you want to do.
He was talking about his father getting a safe job and then getting laid off from his safe job. And he just said, well, you can fail at what you don't want to do, so why not go ahead and follow your dream anyway? Because if you fail at that, you know, you can fail at your safe job. So what the fuck is the point?
I just know that we're not going to fail.
And that goes back to the not accepting.
Yeah.
You don't accept that you're going to fail. It's just not an option.
But that's not a bad thing.
What else am I going to do?
Because if you say I'm going to win, you know, there's a book called Think and Grow Rich. If you think you think your goals into reality, if you say I may not succeed, well, then you may not succeed.
Don't bother.
Well, it's like at the moment, because of where my head's been and through the bodybuilding prep, business-wise, I'm not earning what I need to be. I don't have the clientele that I know I should have. But I'm not going to fail at that.
No.
Because I've said this year, you've really got to fucking sort your act out with it. You know, I'm nowhere near where I should be with the coaching. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I've done really well with bodybuilding this year. I'm doing really well in this. Like, my coaching's nowhere near where it should be. So, but I'm all in on that as well. I'm not going back to a 9 to 5. Not a chance. No way. Do you know what I mean?
Once I'm out, I reckon the next 2 years I'll be out at 9 to 5 forever.
Well, we said 6 months.
Yeah, we can do it in 6 months, but we got to get our act together. Not in the way I'm moving right now. But yeah, no, it's just one of them. I could never stick in that mediocre life. I think I got like quite an extreme temperament. I was telling Martha this. Like I could very easily, with the way that I am, turn to drugs and alcohol and addiction, because I'm so extreme in that sense. I have to channel it into something meaningful. Otherwise, I can't just go and sit at my desk and do my 9 to 5 and just be satisfied with that.
I just love the grind. I just love sacrificing things to do what I want to do.
It's not even about that. It's just about knowing that you can't achieve what you want to achieve if you just wait for something to happen. You've got to actually get out there and do it.
But I enjoy sacrificing things and not going out and not doing things.
Well, you haven't sacrificed food, have you?
Well, no, obviously not, but I am now. But you're mocking me, but I'm actively pursuing
you when we started Clwb was lazy, found excuses for things.
I agree.
You found excuses for things. I was like, Math, get it done. You're like, oh, but I got to do this, I got to do that. And now it's actually the other way around. He's like, hang on, you used to tell me to do this, and now look at you.
The word feelings between me and Alex, not his band. we're not allowed to say how we feel, because it doesn't matter what we feel.
Fucking hell.
It doesn't matter what we feel.
You've got to be careful with stuff like that, because it's always important that you can reach out to your mates and talk to them. But at the same time, you cannot put blame onto things. You've got to just say, look, I know I feel like shit. Like, for example, me and Matthew, we're not in the best shape. So we need to at least wait until we're in good shape before we make a decision on whether we're going to jump off a bridge and kill ourselves. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying we're at with those depths, but if you're depressed, right? If we were depressed now, I'm like, my life isn't the way I want it to be. I'm depressed, I'm miserable, I might just sit here and be depressed. You've got to at least improve areas of your life that you have control over. Like, people are like, I don't know how to improve my career, I don't know what I want to do in terms of a job. I'm like, there are so many, I'm looking at these people, and there's so many things about you that you can sort tomorrow. Like, you can fix your body, you can start eating better, you can go to the gym, and then, make a decision from there. It just compounds.
Just give yourself as many advantages.
Yeah, I'm going way off what we talk. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I think we could talk all day if we.
I wanted to ask you about steroids as well, but I don't see the point really. I just don't know.
Natty for life, bro.
I know. I just don't see the point of asking you.
Well, I'll give you a really quick summary of why it's not going to happen. Firstly, what we've talked about.
You start shooting people.
Can you imagine if you combine that with what happens neurologically when you go on steroids and hormonally? That would be a clusterfuck and a half. So that can't happen. That was my opinion before this year, let alone what's happened this year with it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm very extreme in what I do as well, obviously. So if I'm jumping on that, I'm doing everything I can in my power to be the best within that field.
Yeah, that would be scary.
And that sees me dead in 10 years. Like, 10 years. Gone. Because I'm doing... People say, oh no, you do it sensibly. No, I wouldn't.
No.
Do I natural bodybuild sensibly? No. I'm training for fucking 6 hours a day. I'm taking 4 pre-workouts a day. Is that sensible? No, it's not.
That is first class.
I'm doing everything I can to get me to that finish line.
I remember we were the same day. I think we were there. Oh no, it could have been the day after. And then you were like, you were going to the gym, and then you like 4 hours later, like, Jack's topping up on pre.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny because I don't even take pre-workout. I don't even bother with it.
Exactly. So
and that's because I'm worried about my health. I'm worried about what it's doing to me.
Well, I was worried about just fucking getting the session in. Really, we'll deal with the rest after.
Yeah.
Which once again isn't sensible. Like, I'm not sensible. This is quite like psychotic, but like one thing that. But this is me being like honest and real. One thing, this takes away sensation, yeah? So I can't feel certain things. But other sensations can override it, right? So what's a really strong sensation?
Stimulants.
Probably stronger again.
Steroids. Well, I don't know that.
So what's a feeling or a sensation that might take over that point in my head?
It could be a few things. Heart attack, anxiety attack.
Well, you're getting there. Heart attack. What would a heart attack cause you?
Death.
Well, okay. Pain.
All right, okay.
Okay. So the feeling of pain, sensation of pain overrides this. And unfortunately, I've worked that out. Okay? So if I'm training...
Oh, so you put yourself on... You literally create pain.
If I'm training and I'm really struggling to shift it, I'll do stupid shit to make sure it goes. Why do you think I've rocked up on stage with a black eye?
Yeah, I remember this.
I was watching you in Ultraflex pounding your chest and screaming at the top of your lungs.
Why have I competed this year? One arm fucking peeled. You could see all the separation. This arm couldn't see anything. It was completely fat. And you couldn't see it because it was covered in fake tan. But I'd smashed the shit out of my right bicep. It had a hematoma in it. It was swollen up like that. You couldn't see anything. Because I'd smacked it against machines to cause pain, because then it goes. Because then that momentary pain is all I think about, and then that's not there. So then I can feel things then.
So you've gone a level deeper than you have the whole podcast now. You've literally explained
that's absolute psychotic. But the problem is I'm fully aware of that.
Yeah.
And which is why it goes back to what I said. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get me to that finish line in 2022, because I said I'm going to. And that goes back to what I said to you. No one's going to do what I've done. And they're not.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing either, because as you say, some of the things you do are not sensible.
It's not, and I will fully admit that. But that's when I go back and say, I've put everything into this. I said,
at least you can say that. You haven't left any stone unturned.
Which is why I said I'm so self-aware. I'm so self-aware. No one would have done what I've done for the better, because I shouldn't have done it, really. It's put me in a fucking massive hole, and I'm aware it has. But I said I'm going to do it, so I've done it. You know? Yeah, like, this year I had a permanent bruise on my shoulder there. A permanent bruise, just from... Whenever I do any sort of pressing, I just give it a quick knock there. I had a hematoma in my hamstring from smacking it against the machines. Like, I've been an absolute mess this year. You know,
that's not, and it's time to get sorted out.
Kind of not proud of it, but kind of am at the same time. You know,
it just shows your dedication, then, doesn't it? Really, the
levels it's in excess. Yeah, you know, but
it's time to shift it, like you said, isn't it?
That's why I've got to shift it because I can't keep doing stuff like that. You know, there are times this year when I've been really hurt. Like my hamstring, I'd struggle to walk like that bad. You know, and I can't keep doing stuff like that. Let alone like the way I act in a gym. I can't be smacking myself against machines. Like there have been times where people have nearly like walked out of Ultraflex because of my like.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Me and Iwan were just stood there. And I don't know where on the scale of crazy this was for you, but you were doing the prime incline?
That's my arch nemesis.
And you literally
probably jumped off them.
No, you were still on the machine. You came up like that with both hands. You dropped this one and started pounding your chest like that.
Yeah.
Like literally screaming. And me and Iwan were stood there like, wait, what the fuck? Like you literally like completely gone.
And another thing, I know it's just like carrying on the podcast here. With the anxiety as well, I've developed. My throat closes up.
I remember this
because of nervousness, and I can't swallow, can't breathe properly. It like locks up, and if I think about it when I'm training, it like locks, and I retch. I go because it catches. So I'm training, and I'm trying to fucking do it, and
you can't even breathe.
I can't even but it won't let me do the movement because I'm going. So it's fucking nuts, mate. But I've made a massive effort to get on top of that, and it was gone. It was gone. But funny enough, since I got ill and my throat got fucked from coughing, it's come back a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think that helped though, really get ill.
No, it didn't at all. But I almost don't want to talk it because it might bring it back. No, but past couple of days, it's been good. So I'm very happy that it's shifted because I'm fully aware that to be doing that in a gym, I can't be fucking doing it. Can't be doing it. Like, there have been times when I've thought, if you carry on the way you're going, you are either going to have to train at a gym that someone's willing to let you go in at, like, stupid o'clock, or you're going to have to get your own gym. Like, it's literally been that stage, you know, and that's not great. You know, which is why I've said to myself, you need to sort your shit out. You have to.
I hope you've enjoyed speaking to us, and I hope you felt comfortable speaking about these things.
Do you know what's mental, though, is, like, because we've spoken about it so much, it's, like, kind of there. Like in my head, whereas I came in here like normal. So we've
triggered all of your problems.
Yeah, but it's just mad how that happens. But
it's because you talk about it. Yeah, this is a perfect example of why you should just pretend it's not there. Not pretend it's not there. That could be dangerous. But the more you talk about it and tell people about it, the more you're thinking about it.
Exactly.
You know? And it's happened now. Just
quite evident of why. But at the same time, I almost want to say to myself, you should be able to talk about it because you need to be able to manage it. But I think it's one of those things where you can't you can't really manage it. You just got to
get on with it,
work so it's just not there.
Yeah,
you know, because realistically, what am I anxious about now? Sat on a fucking sofa, because that's where it's originated from. It's originated from anxiety. But why is it there now? I'm not anxious about anything. But I'm anxious about
the anxiousness.
Yeah.
So let's just never speak about this again.
It's not there.
It's not there. What's not there? What are you on about? What are you talking crap for, Jack? But no, this is probably one of the most enjoyable podcasts I've done, and I've really appreciated your time. I know you've got things to do, and you need to get a meal in. So I just want to thank you for coming on to the podcast. I think you've given a lot of value that a lot of people can I wouldn't say relate to, but understand.
I don't know how many are going to relate to that. Like.
But I think a lot of people are going to see you in more of a different light now.
I hope so.
And they're going to see there's more to you than just screaming in a gym and speaking about your mental health on stories. You know, you've got actual reasons as to why you're like this and how successful.
Yeah, it's like, do you think do you think I'd choose to be a fucking lunatic in a gym? Like, do you think I'd choose to train for 6?
It doesn't seem like you would choose.
Do you think I would want to train for 6 hours a day?
Yeah. No, you just got to get it done. But I think with that said, thank you, Jack, for coming on.
Pleasure.
I know me and Alex have enjoyed. We're definitely going to have to speak to you again in a couple of months. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching, guys. I hope you'd enjoy this episode of the Clwb podcast, and we shall see you on the next episode.